did this in my ear. Like,
please do it. This is so entertaining.
All right, 3, 2.
Dang it! I tried
Cheers.
to get my phone out to take a picture of that because it was so funny.
I mean, look, we're coming in hot. We're both in hotels. Wi-Fi is already a problem.
Yes.
This is a beer from the old fridge over there, the old mini bar. I want to get your thoughts on mini bars, by the way. And
Okay.
but in any event, we can talk football. Happy 52nd
Episode of No Punts Allowed. Look at us.
Wow, a full year of episodes. So cheers. We are traveling.
Cheers.
Before we talk football, mini bars.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
I love mini bars. I
do
don't
too.
care that it's
Mini bar.
I like, okay, do you remember though as like a kid when you went to a hotel, like you thought like you would bankrupt your entire family if you touched anything from like the mini fridge or
Yes.
whatever because it was like
Yes.
$9 and it's like so excessively overpriced. When I'm in a hotel, I don't care. I'm like, convenience, it's there. I'm good with it. You know what?
I'm in Vegas.
Okay.
And so the other night I was at the tables. We came home a little late, a little loose. Those motherfucking cashews didn't stand a chance. I'm just saying.
Especially like
like those things are like you are you, and a bottle
like
of Fiji that probably cost me $17. Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? They were delicious, and I'm gonna do it again tonight.
So this is a mini bar supporting podcast.
I think mini bar gets bad rap.
I think it does too. I think because we were instilled with fear not to touch anything in it, I think it's got a bad rap, and we're here to bring it back.
We are Team Mini Bar. Now, notably absent from today is my municipal shirt because I was traveling. We're recording a day early, didn't have it packed. So I'm going with my Vampire Mickey shirt that was for my child's birthday 2 years ago. This is like my lounge shirt. So your municipal gear will be back at home. Like I'm ready. We love you, Municipal. And if you want to support the people that support this show, you should absolutely do it. Municipal.com. No punts 20. Do it. Buy it.
Yes.
This stuff is amazing. The one thing I am traveling with, by the way, is my
The
shorts.
shorts?
They are like the perfect travel shorts. They are like the ultimate, airplane lounging shorts.
Adam,
so
I will give you
yes.
I will give you $50 to prop up your phone in the airport while you're wearing them and like press record and then like walk away so you can get the full camera angle and then stop. I will literally pay you $50 for that content.
I will
for the people so we can post it.
It's the lounge gear is amazing. And my wife, by the way, got her gear.
Okay.
Leggings, like like
I will have that stuff when I am back in with at home. So I will have my new stuff back at home. So we will have all of that good stuff. But yes, NoPuts20 municipal.com. Please support them because they support us. And obviously awesome. You guys love us, so we appreciate it.
And they, the other thing I do love is they love college football. Like there's a genuine connection, like with our contact where we're talking about college football and there's a care and they're watching the same degenerate games that we are and oftentimes gambling. I just love that. So my other thing I want to point out that you can't see, so I am balancing my laptop on a actual trash can. Like this is literally trash. So if this episode's bad because of the sound and everything else, I'm trying not to move this fucking table. Like we're holding this together with duct tape today, Paige. But sometimes that's our finest work, though.
It really is our finest work. I think some of our best episodes are when you and I are just like, we need this as like our therapy session of talking about college football. Yeah, yes. we're both drinking at this point because it's later in the day and we can. I know I told you guys like I forgot my mic, but I've remembered my ring light, and so that's always key. Always remember your ring light.
Lighting
is more important to me than sound.
Hotel
so
lighting
hotel
lighting is a curious beast
because
it can be bad. I'm actually okay. I don't have my ring light, but I'm okay now.
Do you own a ring light? Wait.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I got a ring light.
I did not
When
know
we do
that.
our Sunday shows in because my basement lighting is horrible, so I wasn't using my ring light when we do our Sunday AP poll, and then I had to bring it
Yeah.
out because it was so grotesque. So I do own a ring light
Yes.
that I have at home. So thank
Interesting.
God, because it would look like I'm being held captive down there.
Yeah, speaking of, we did do that live show on the AP poll
Yeah.
this week. Georgia is back at number 1 after Alabama's scare. I feel like we should talk about it on the pod in case you guys missed the live stream, but please watch on Sundays
Yes.
when the AP poll drops. I feel like it was kind of a weird move. Like, I feel like we could have just moved Ohio State to number 1 because, in my opinion, they're the number 1 team in the country right now. Like, Alabama didn't lose, but they did look rough, and they moved Georgia down when they struggled and didn't lose. So I think it would be only fair if Ohio State was there. I don't know. It just felt kind of like a weird vibe to move Alabama down.
Well, I had my top three as Ohio State, Alabama, and Georgia. So if you're moving Alabama, that's fine. You're playing without the Heisman winner, so like you got to at least consider that.
Yeah.
And obviously it'll be interesting. We'll talk about this week moving forward, but Ohio State now is beating the shit out of teams pretty badly, and
Yeah.
they haven't played anybody great. They've got Penn State and Michigan coming up, but they're doing it without, like, again, probably their second best player who hasn't played this year. Like, it's wild. Like, now I picked
Yeah.
Ohio State to win the title before the season began. I picked C.J. Stroud. There's a long way to go. I really need to see Ohio State against better teams. But given what we've seen, yeah, I'd probably have Ohio State number one. I do think these teams are going to be flipping back and forth. Hell, if Tennessee wins, they're probably the number one team in college football.
I
Like,
mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. And
you
I will
know,
obviously talk about that game, but it's so crazy to me how much is still kind of up in the air. Like we fully expect this to end how it usually does with, you know, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State being good and in the top 3. Um but part of me feels like this could be a year for chaos. I kind of want it to be.
well, Tennessee plays Alabama and Georgia in like the next month,
Mhm.
right? So shit's gonna happen there, like one way or another.
One way,
Hendon Hook,
I kind of like if someone was like, "Hey, you have to put money on if Georgia or Alabama, one of Georgia or Alabama is going to lose to Tennessee," like I might take that bet.
that's a great question. Georgia plays them at home. They play, Bryce Young is still injured.
Mhm.
Yeah, I might take that bet too. Like, I think and if Tennessee just wins one of those games,
Yeah.
they are in a wonderful position. Like, that's the
Yeah.
reality. They got a mulligan, and I think the buzz is high. Did you listen to Nick Saban? I know we're kind of hijacking this, but Nick Saban talking about Tennessee. I was listening to that today. You could sense the genuine, like, fear that he has. He's not scared. Nick Saban ain't scared of nobody, but you could
Mhm.
sense like the genuine respect that he has for this team because they are really, really good. Hendon Hooker, by the
Yeah.
way, is now 11-1 to
Yes.
win the Heisman. He's the second choice on the board, which is
Behind
deserved and
Stroud
pretty
or
awesome.
Bryce?
Yeah, behind Stroud. And this is a good
Okay.
segue too, by the way, into Ohio State.
Yes.
Ohio State is assuming the role as title favorite. For the first time this year, we have a minus Heisman fave. So Stroud, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young have all been kind of hovering around plus 200, plus 300, plus 400. CJ Stroud now minus 130. And Ohio State, from the future standpoint, is plus 180. You got Georgia plus 220, and you've got Alabama plus 240. So not a huge gap, but Ohio State is definitely taking that role on as chalk, which we kind of talked about. I think that's deserved right now. I got no
Yeah.
problem with that.
No, I love it. I love that Vegas is on that roll. Also, as soon as I said that I got the lighting good and it was fine, the sun is starting to set. And so it's moving down and literally shining right on me. I'm like, this could not be more janky in terms of, look at this. I'm like now
Oh
sitting in
yeah.
the sun.
So
Hold on.
now you're in the
We're
chat.
now we're adjusting this. This is full, no punts
Oh, this
allowed,
is this is this
0.
is
There we
great
go.
though.
See?
This is who we are. Oh
This
no,
is
that's great.
genuinely
Yes.
who we are.
Oh yes. If you lean back, it's like a beam of the angels are reaching. Yeah, there you go.
Hold on, I
Yeah,
gotta get low.
there.
The angels are looking over me as we talk about college football and the greatest sport.
every no pun should be just in a hotel with no mics and
We
just
should just put us in
alcohol,
different settings every time
$14
and see if
bottles
we
of.
can keep our composure. The best part of this podcast though for me is that like we are not trying to pretend like we're being like overly fancy. Like we love this part of it. So
No, I
yeah,
literally
poor
doing this
producer
on a
Matt.
fucking trash can. Yeah. Good luck,
But
buddy.
but
It's like,
anyways, Ohio State. Ohio State. Yeah, the
yeah,
fact that Vegas is on board, like that goes to show you that everybody's like kind of thinking the same thing that we are.
I think you look at the schedule. So they play Iowa next. It's gonna be horrible. It's just gonna be horrible. I know Iowa beat them last time, but that's gonna be bad. So they're off. Then they play at Penn State. They play at Northwestern. That's going to be bad. Penn State's a tough game at Penn State. Penn State always plays Ohio State tough. They play Indiana at home. They play at Maryland, which could be a look-ahead game, and then they play at Michigan. By the way, it's so weird that we're like halfway through these schedules already. I was doing that this week when I was writing for BR stories, and I'm like, fuck, we're like moving down this list a little fast. We need to kind of slow it down a little bit. It's moving, Paige. It's a little scary.
I know. We anticipated being here and then we're like, it's finally here, and then it's like it's almost over. Um, so I do think you and I both agree that if this man, Quinn Ewers, was healthy and did not get injured in the Alabama game, we might be talking about a completely different season, a different team, in both Alabama and Texas. But obviously he was back. Red River rivalry. Got that one out without mispronouncing. And
So hard to
Oklahoma.
say. It's so hard to
It
say.
is. It is.
It's
The situation at Oklahoma is pretty bad, but I kind of want to let's highlight Texas first. And what were your thoughts on
yeah,
that Texas team and sort of moving forward? And what do you think like the like sky, I guess the ceiling is on Texas this year?
yeah. You got two losses by a combined 4 points, both of which you could have won and maybe should have won. And certainly, if you don't lose Texas Tech, Texas is in a position to like really be thinking about where can we take this thing. So I think a couple of things stand out. Like I don't know what to think of the Oklahoma win because Oklahoma was such a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them, but I do think Quinn Ewers is that dude. I think um, he looks the part. Obviously, they have another year of him. When you bring Arch on, like the formula at Texas is going to be this guy, and as long as they can continue to, the defensively take strides, like they're good. Like we could say the conversation for Texas is back. They're like so much better than they've been, and
Yeah.
I think that's the thing about Texas. It's actually kind of the interesting situation at USC too. USC is unbeaten. It hasn't been like perfect, but Texas is like getting. We can just appreciate a team that's better than they've been, right? Like, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that to their credit, like I said, this could have been a completely different season for them if they keep him healthy that whole Alabama game. Like we could be talking about Texas being in the top four still. I don't know that they lose other
Absolutely.
games after that when you're riding that high and they're that confident going against teams. Um, yeah, it's
But that's the
frustrating what could
interesting
have
part
been,
for
but I
them.
think what?
Well, that's the interesting part for them though too, which I'm fascinated by,
Mhm.
is after Iowa State, who they should beat handily, they play at Oklahoma State, at Kansas State, versus TCU, at Kansas,
Oh,
and
that's gonna be a
versus
weird one.
Baylor. I know. So you've got like it's actually a pretty brutal stretch of games,
Yeah,
like to finish. Like I don't know how much better Baylor is, but you've got three road games in against teams that are playing well. Kansas beat Texas last year, and they're actually good this year. So it'll be very interesting to see because the story with Texas has had some pretty good highs over the years. It's like sustaining this success, and that's what I'm hoping that we could see out of them. Is they're not going to win all those games, I don't think, but if they could win four out of them, or I mean that's a good season. Like that would be a hugely successful season if they could stay relatively unscathed.
yeah. So someone who this is just a team that's completely disappointed in all aspects. Oklahoma. I don't know if you saw the video today of Brent Venables saying that some Oklahoma fan got his phone number and sent him some tips. and he responded to the person, and then they didn't respond to him after that. So I think he's making light of the situation, but like, is he on the hot seat? Like, I know that sounds like really dramatic,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of like curious if that's the case because we're in a stage where we're so used to like people being fired so quickly that like nothing is really shocking anymore if they're willing to make this move so quick. But in this case, I don't necessarily think they will. But like, how bad does it have to get for him to like for it to start getting real hot for him?
It's interesting. They're like an 8-point favorite versus Kansas this week. Dylan Gabriel is back. That should help. I think the most startling thing last week was just offensively how inept they were, even with
Yeah.
backups. Do I think he's on the hot seat? No, because I think he'll get the benefit of the doubt. You had some transfers. You have some built-in excuses that are legitimate. So I think for
Yeah.
a year they'll say, okay. However, what will probably happen in all this, Paige, is like usually you'll get pressure to fire everybody and rehire your staff, and then that's
Mhm.
how it will go. But just like Texas's season, you've got Kansas, you've got Iowa State, you got Baylor, you got OK State, you play at Texas Tech. There's still teeth here. And it's not just losing 55-24, 49 to nothing.
Yeah, like you're getting your ass kicked.
That is an ass kicking. So no, but I when we saw the first three games and it was UTEP, Kent State, and Nebraska, like it was like wow, this looks pretty good. They're going to be a force. I was like, I know the competition was less, but like oh my god, and then to turn this badly, yeah, it's a concern. The Dabo coaching tree ain't thriving, by the way. Like Jeff Scott at USF, I know they gave Cincinnati a run, might get fired. You've got Tony Elliott at Virginia. They're a disaster. Um, like, not going to get fired. And then you have Venables. Like, this shit's hard to do. I don't know what it says other than it's hard to be a head coach. And that was one of the most successful staffs, like, in the history of college football.
Yeah.
And no one is finding success other than Dabo, who's still kind of doing his thing
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing. I think it's interesting
until
to me
this
that he
weekend.
yeah, exactly. I'm waiting for
Just
them
saying.
to slip up. I feel like that's going to be who slips up and makes this party a little more fun in terms of top fours, but um in terms of we've had this conversation a lot where there was a narrative around Venables that was like he was passed up for a lot of open jobs in
Yes.
terms of head coaches because people had some hesitation on him being able to be a head coach. Do you think that that's a little bit of a factor in the conversation now? You had Kevin Durant tweeting during the game being like, "Buddy, pass the sticks. This is bad." Like when Kevin
I
Durant,
think,
he loves
yeah,
to troll people, but still.
you have basically a new head coach whose reputation has been just like the guy that acts like a fool on the sidelines that needs his get back coach. And the rumors were like his interviews weren't great. So, yeah, I think that plays a role, right? If you have a proven commodity that you bring in that's struggling, you're going to say, well, he's going to turn it around. Like, we don't know what he's going to do. Like, this just may be him as a coach. So, I think part of that's the uncertainty, but you're going to let them bring in a recruiting class. I think the point you speak though, is the fact that we can ask the conversation, like, is Oklahoma, would they just pull the ripcord? And you and I have talked about it all year. I've written about it at BR. Like, it's getting wild out there where a guy can lose badly a couple of weeks in a row at a storied program, and we're questioning if he can be that coach. Like, that's the room for error right now as a head
Is
coach
so
is tiny. It's
well,
unfair, but that's the nature of the beast, especially when you're losing as badly as they are.
yeah, and we've seen the sizable buyouts that people are willing to pay, and one of the coaches that has really was there wasn't a lot of conversation about firing him really. It was just that he didn't care was Chip Kelly. And it was like, where in the world is Chip Kelly? Like that was legitimate, like amongst like media members. Like I remember we wanted to do a story and everyone was like, I don't know if he's even like talking to media because he's just like kind of what's weird is like when you're a guy that coaches in like LA, you would expect that they would be, having these
Yeah.
conversations and being out there. But he's someone who probably should have been on the hot seat and wasn't, and they stuck it
Well, I
out
think
and
he
he
kind
figured
of
it out.
was. I think he was
Yeah,
on the hot seat at some point. Like, it was getting rough, and then last year they were better, and obviously this year, holy shit, right? Like,
yeah.
they're pretty good.
Yeah, no, and I think they're like I've said this, like I would love to give guys head coaches more chances. I think we need to stop paying people to not do jobs. Although if somebody wants to do that, I'm more than willing to make like $60 million
Please.
to not do a job. And we'll get to
Yes.
another specific coach who works in the pro league that may be returning to college football, who's being paid not to coach as well. But I am excited for UCLA, and I'm glad that they've turned it around. And I think we're not going to get to see them this weekend, but that Oregon game is going to be really good, and the fact that like a rivalry game is really going to count towards even like a playoff situation in the Pac-12 is kind of a big deal.
You know, what's really interesting about this is we've gone through this really odd Pac-12 evolution of this year with USC. It was Utah, then it was USC, and then it was Washington, and now it's sort of UCLA. And Oregon's, by the way, just kind of chilling and in a position to be that team. But I think that the cool part, like UCLA is, well, first off, DTR is a great deal of fun to watch. And you want to talk about guys that, I mean, I don't know what year this is for him on campus. 5, I think, or with, I don't know, COVID year, whatever it is. Stuck it out, has put himself in a position to play or be drafted at a higher level. And then, like it's this is a different Chip Kelly. This isn't like the crazy Oregon breakneck. They score a lot of points. The offense is really good, but they have a pass rush. They're balanced. They're a problem.
Yeah.
So playing at Oregon is going to be tough. I do worry about the Pac-12 just kind of cannibalizing itself. It feels like it's an inevitability at some point. But we talked about this on the show, you and I, on Sunday. If UCLA and USC keep winning, even if they lose a game and they go into that game being like, I mean, that's going to be electric. So, Chip Kelly, DTR. I got to see what his Heisman. He's got to be.
He's up there. I think he's probably in the top. I would say 5 or 6, right?
He's in the top 5. He's 18-1 now behind Stroud, Hendon Hooker, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young. That's it. He and Blake Corum at 18-1. I actually think he's a decent bet because I do think they can win their game. So it's a neat story. Chip is good. Chip does things his own way. I think he's become more laid back, Chip, less like grumpy old man. Like he just kind of says what he says, and I think he's lightened up a little bit. And you're right. This is a testament to letting a guy do his job. Dabo had that too, by the way. Dabo almost got canned year 3 at Clemson, and they let him do his job. The problem is that, again, that doesn't happen. It's not going to happen anymore. Like Chip Kelly would have been fired in this environment of hiring and firing coaches.
Yeah. So Matt Rhule lost his job in the NFL. And I was actually in a meeting when I got the alert that he had been fired. And what I said to the person I was in the meeting with was, well, I can't wait to see him back in college football. I wonder what opening he's going to take. And sure enough, there was a report after that. They're like, he will have his pick of college football jobs. It's like, no shit. That guy was a proven winner and proved to be able to get teams turned around. But now the conversation is going to be what team, what program is it? I know there's some special interest in terms of Nebraska fandom on this podcast, as always. That's obviously an option. I don't think Wisconsin's an option. I think they're going to keep with hiring internally. But there's a job that we thought is going to be open that hasn't opened up in Auburn. I feel like that would be a really good one. But curious what you think of Matt Rhule returning to college football.
All right. First and foremost, he's getting paid $40 million not to coach. So
I told you, if somebody wants to pay me
$40 million, like I will be now in these jobs. What's going to happen? This was like the Lane Kiffin circuit as well. They're going to be paying him money, and it's going to be offset by whatever his next team is paying him. So they could probably get him at a little bit of a discount his next job.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm Matt Rhule, I'm in no rush. None of these jobs would appeal to me. I have a hot take, though. I don't think he's a sure. I don't think he's a guarantee. The NFL fucking fucks with you. It changes you. You come back the other side. College football is a lot different now. He's a good recruiter. He's a good coach. I think he'd be fine. But I can't say that if I'm Auburn, who has like a really solid track record of just paying buyouts continuously, like this is the guy. I'll make an even hotter take. I would rather have Lance Leopold than Matt Rhule right now. especially at the cost. I would rather have this guy who has coached and built a program than Rhule, who it's just there's like a stink
But he
around it.
coached and
It
built
just
2
doesn't.
programs. He brought Baylor back to
I
relevance. But also, like,
he
here's my
brought it
thing is,
back to
like,
relevance, but
think
he was
about
like a
guys.
shooting star in doing it.
We just got finished talking about a guy who is left the NFL and was definitely a better college coach than he was an NFL head coach, and Chip Kelly, and
For sure.
he's figured it out. So I think there's something to be said. So I'll disagree with you, but I do like the hot take of it because it's
I
true in the sense of things do change, and like also the landscape of college football has shifted significantly since he's been even at Baylor, even though it wasn't that long ago. It's
I
still shifted
I
drastically.
think
So I see your point.
the market will be huge, though. I think for him, like he'll have a ton of interest, and he should have a ton of interest. Like he has built programs, like you said. It's just there's just something about it that doesn't feel like a sure thing. But what the hell do I know? I thought Scott Frost was like the safest, smartest hire at Nebraska, and I like it was horrible. Like most of these things are going to backfire. Like most of these, like that's just the reality of them. Like Brian Kelly just lost by like 1 billion points at home, right? Brent Venables is getting his ass kicked weekly. It's the expectations that are going to follow Rhule are going to be huge.
Yeah.
And I think he's a really good coach. I just don't know if I don't know what the spot would be because right now there's probably not a job that he's jumping into. He's going to be paying either way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's the other part. So I imagine he'll be patient, maybe do a little TV. He seems like a pretty personable guy,
Yeah.
and then get into this thing slowly. So he doesn't need to rush though. I mean, oh my God, let the Panthers just keep writing those checks, like
Honestly,
$40 million.
the fact that like we have this conversation so often about like literally the best job in the world is being paid not to be
Fire
a
coach,
football coach. Like that's the
fire
best job in
coach.
the whole world. All right, let's look at this next week coming up. Saturday, big game obviously between Tennessee and Alabama. Is it finally Tennessee's time to beat Alabama? I think Bryce is still they expect him to go, but I don't know that he's fully healthy. What are your thoughts on that big game?
I want to say yes, but I don't know if I want to say yes, but like there's a part of me that thinks yes, it is time. I can't commit to it though. Like I can't. There's still some games Tennessee's kind of baffled me. Now they were great against LSU, but
Yeah.
like they almost lost to Pitt. Like it's not been like fully dominant. So I'm going to be I know you are the resident Alabama beat reporter of this podcast, so I'm curious actually your take on this game. Is it? It's not a pick and pint game for you, I don't believe.
No, it is.
Or is it? Okay, of course it
I
is.
actually have 2 picks
I'm
on this
curious
game.
which. Oh my God! All right, well then I will eat up your time for that. But I Tennessee is super capable. It's just hard to it's hard to actually make an educated pick on this when we don't know much about Bryce Young. Other than I think sitting him out last week was a calculated decision to get him healthier for this game. I think Nick
Yeah.
Saban thought he could get by. Holy shit, that was really close. Like A&M seems to play Alabama tough. Oh my God.
I was sweating. I was like, I can't do this again. I can't do this again. I don't want to do this. Oh, I'm getting
It was
hyped
a
just
great
thinking about
game.
it. No, awesome
But
game.
I just think it's hard to have an opinion until you know what Bryce Young's status is. And so
So
that's the toughest part. But I can't wait. I mean, I cannot wait for this game.
I I think it's totally possible. Like Alabama has it's the key to this game is going to be Alabama not beating themselves. Because we even said this about the Alabama team last year. Like there's been some sloppiness. There's been some stupidity.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they can't have that when you are going to get everybody's best. I mean, like that's part of it. I know part of people saying that like Georgia's struggling this year is that they're the defending national champs. You're going to get everybody's best shot, which is true. But again, if they don't have a fully healthy Bryce Young, I think they can still manage with Milroe, but I would be concerned a little bit. And I do think Tennessee, if they play a full complete game, has potential to win this game. And that
It's
scares
going to
me. That
be
it kind of reminds me, you know what it reminds me of? We were at this point with that 2019 LSU team because nobody wanted to actually believe that this was like, you didn't want to like hype them up
That's a
too
great
early. I
point.
think
Yeah.
this Tennessee team is just like that, where you're like, okay, this potentially could be an incredible run. But we know that history is not necessarily on the side of that. We know what Alabama is capable of.
Yeah.
We know what Georgia and Ohio State are capable of. But there is years where there's that giant shift, and we did not expect. I mean, we knew that LSU was going to be good, but like you had a quarterback have like the best turnaround season of any quarterback in all of college football with Joe Burrow, and a team that just like figured it out. And so I don't think everybody's ready to hop on the Tennessee bandwagon just yet, but this is the perfect opportunity to sort of like make a statement. And even if they play them and don't lose by more than a field goal, like this is a serious contender. I think that
Yeah.
they are either going to beat Alabama or they're going to beat Georgia. It's going to be one of them.
On this week as a whole, by the way, I think this is one of the best weeks, certainly the best week since week 1 in terms of matchups. Like from coast to coast, every coast has like a meaningful game. Like from it's kind of odd, the game timings. It's all like compacted, but from coast to coast, this is like actually one of the most interesting weeks that we have. So I'll ask you this. It's an interesting question. What game do you think is going to have the biggest impact this week? Let's remove Alabama, Tennessee from the equation, just because I think if Alabama loses, like that's a huge impact. That's sizable. Or you could pick that if you want. But what game ultimately impacts the landscape most?
Probably Michigan, Penn State, because if you're Michigan, you can lose to Ohio State and still be a playoff contender. If you lose to Penn State, you can't lose to Ohio State. And I don't expect Penn State to beat Ohio State. So I would probably say Penn State, Michigan. That determines a lot, I think.
I will go slightly different. I agree with you because it is the most. I think TCU Oklahoma State is really interesting because the winner of this
The Big
game, I
12.
think, is like in position to be a playoff team. Like,
yeah, no, totally.
You still got a lot of meat like this, but this is a catapult forward. And I give TCU a lot of credit. I know Texas was like Kansas was like zombie Kansas again. But TCU has just found a way to win. So I've liked both of these teams a lot. I think that game is going to like do a lot for the perception of the winning team, and I don't think the losing team, frankly, is going to move all that much.
Yeah, we talked about this. Like, I personally think that Oklahoma State should probably be ranked over USC right now, but that's not the case. But you win this game, maybe there's a little bit more of a conversation you continue. But I want to read you this stat. Saturday is only the second time in college football history there are 3 matchups of teams 5-0 or better on the same day. So 5-0 Penn State at 6-0 Michigan, 6-0 Alabama at 5-0 Tennessee, 5-0 Oklahoma at 5-0 TCU. So, or Oklahoma State, sorry, not Oklahoma. That's wild. Like, that's only the second time that that's happened. That's why this weekend is going to establish a lot of the chaos that we get. Like, it's going to show us the roadmap to what the chaos is actually going to be.
Well, and then I guess the other game, Penn State, I hijacked the doc and realized to put Tennessee, Alabama up top just because I know we need to talk Alabama on this podcast a little bit more in-depthly, just saying. Penn State, Michigan. I have an opinion on this game. I don't have a side. I am really struggling with this. I am really struggling with this football game, Paige, and maybe you can help me out. I think that both of these teams have been good. The line is 7. It's a pretty aggressive line in Michigan's favor, but the odds makers like Michigan. I think Michigan can absolutely cover that. I also think Penn State could give them fits. So Penn State has a super interesting roster. They got 2 freshman running backs that look really, really good. They've got a quarterback that's been around for like 38 years and a super good freshman behind them. Defensively are good. It's just like Michigan, like they were 10-10 with Indiana. Like it feels like for Michigan, it's a matter of time when this shit catches up to them. But then they find a way to pull out and pull away from Michigan or Indiana. So what are we doing with this game? Because I am struggling in back and forth.
So I'm certainly not going to bet on the points or bet on the winner of this game. I'm taking the total for it, but I think we'll finally get to figure out if Michigan is still good or if this has just been like them not playing complete games and barely winning.
Yeah.
I think it's like I said, this is potential for Michigan to take themselves completely out of the playoff conversation. Because if you lose to Penn State and then you're not going to make the college football playoff at that point. So,
Well, you got to play. To your point, both these teams got to play Ohio State. So
yeah, and like you
like
can't, you're not going to
it's
beat
going to
Ohio
be a
State.
problem most
Yeah.
likely. Yes.
So, I mean, I have full confidence that Penn State can win this game. I also think it would sort of stop the conversation of James Franklin being fired. But you remember how you were saying you were too nervous to pick the Tennessee upset? Like, I'm way too nervous to pick the Penn State one. I want to believe that it's possible, but I know that like they can be incredibly sloppy and make mistakes, and that makes me a little nervous. And Michigan somehow always finds a way, but I could see this being a potential upset. And if I had to pick between the two, I think I'm going to take Tennessee instead of Penn State. But in terms of like who's actually going to get the upset, but I don't know. I
I
think
was
it's
thinking about this
possible.
earlier. Harbaugh, I know their schedule has been very easy, but you think about, and I'm kind of a Harbaugh homer in some ways and not in others. From a football side, I've always been intrigued by him because I think he's done a really good job. But we've seen coaches, we talk about coaches, like, get back to the theme of not getting a crack. He got a fair shake at Michigan, and it took like 6 years. And you think about it now, I mean, they lost the number 2 overall pick. I mean, they had 2 basically top 10 defensive ends, one of which got like seriously hurt, and new quarterback. Like, he's got them going. It's just when it's Ohio State, it's tough to say, how much they have going. Both of these teams have such fan bases, have such high expectations for their teams. Somebody's gonna be pissed at their coach, like on
Yeah,
Saturday. Like Franklin and Harbaugh both have this really odd love-hate relationship with their fan base, and
totally.
like it's like very easy to like say, God damn it, but then you realize like, okay, we're still gonna win a bunch of games. So
Yeah.
somebody's going to be mad. Hell, both teams might be mad at their coaches after this, and one of them's going to win a game. So
Hmm.
I am curious because the same point about Oklahoma State, TCU, this is a catapult forward for either of these teams. And for Penn State, I mean, again, they play Ohio State tough. They do year in, year out. It's kind of like the A&M Alabama thing. They give them a little trouble. You get Ohio State at home. Like, you win this game, you are in position A. Like, you are really in
Yeah.
a really good spot. So it is a hugely important game. Like, I am really excited to see this one.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. So,
It's a great
any
week.
other games that you're looking forward to that are
Yeah,
non-ranked
I mean,
games?
you brought it up before we got on. We are degenerates on and off the air. I think Arkansas BYU
BYU. Me
is really
too.
interesting.
I
I think
want Arkansas to get a win. I need it for them. I feel so bad. They were 3-0 to start the year and everyone's like, "Oh, yay, this is exciting." And then just beat over the head.
I think that's a really interesting game. I think Florida LSU is pretty interesting. You want to talk about fan bases being pissed at their coaches? Like, I think that's a really important game for Brian Kelly. Like, LSU had a
Yeah.
really solid start after the loss, but if they lose this and they're a dog, they'll be 4-3. Well, one of these teams is gonna be 4-3, right? So it's, you talk about the program angst. I think that really does stand out. And yeah, there's just a shit ton of good ranked games. I mean, oh my God,
There's
there's
so many.
this is a big old week of college football.
It's crazy. So it was interesting today, just a little behind the curtain. I don't know if you looked through our
Yes,
Instagram comments, but obviously we posted a video of us talking last week about an undefeated Kansas and how I told you I don't think they put them in the college football playoff. Someone
people were mad.
commented on it. God, someone commented and was like, "She's dumb." First of all, he said she dumb. But I also just
To the
wanted to
point.
have the conversation of like we've never had this situation happen in the playoff era. But like, what if we do end up with 5 undefeated Power 5 champions? Like, what do you do at that point? Like, that would be
Well,
because this is
yeah.
a year where we've seen like some. I mean, this is obviously not going to last. This we know how this goes. It's not going to happen. But if it did, like, what conference are you taking out of this?
So it's funny you say that because since this playoff started, which is already going away, we were like, oh, just wait till you have 7 deserving teams or 6 deserving teams. And every year it kind of is like we're reached this point. Honestly, you get into where the playoff rankings start. We're like, what, 3 weeks from that, 2 weeks from that. And it's like, oh boy, this is the year. And then like teams lose and then it gets weird. Now, last year there was intrigue because you had Cincinnati. Now they're not Power 5, but if Oklahoma State wouldn't have gotten stopped, you would have had good quality debate. But it was still, I think Oklahoma State would have gotten in, by the way.
Yeah.
But so to your point, I don't know what you would do other than we know the reputations of certain conferences are situated above others. In that
Yeah.
the SEC and the Big Ten, they good. But and so that really there's this hierarchy that you have now and strength of schedule and everything else. But I've wanted this for years, Paige. I want that group to really struggle and anguish over a playoff decision. They just haven't had to really much of all.
Well, because like if I look at UCLA, they already beat Utah, which is a big feat. USC is vulnerable. Oregon also vulnerable. I know they've done really well since they're getting their ass kicked, but they almost lost to Washington State. So, like, there could be a team like UCLA who has already done the hard work that, like, I mean, this is the Pac-12. They're going to lose. I know that it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, like, they would have an argument that they beat quality teams, okay?
Yeah.
Then the Big 12 as well, and then you've got an ACC team like Clemson who they'll go undefeated, but, like, do they really
No, they
even
won't.
deserve to be there?
Well,
But do you think? But if okay, say I think if I had to pick a conference to leave out, it would be the ACC.
I agree, but Clemson will not get left out.
But really, you think if all 5 are undefeated, they would leave out the Pac-12?
Well, here's an even better one, right? I love that we're having this conversation because it's going to be like the entire November is us being like, okay, one loss, but I want to do it anyways because I can't help it.
We have to do it now before it ends.
You do this to me. You lure me into these things. I'm like, whatever. And then like 5 minutes
and we
in,
flip
I'm like,
it out.
God
We
damn
post
it!
it on the internet
This
to
is
make
how
people
it
mad.
is. Okay. What about this one? Undefeated UCLA versus one-loss Alabama in the SEC championship game, or one-loss Tennessee, or one-loss Georgia, right?
You mean with an undefeated Clemson?
An undefeated SEC team. How about an undefeated SEC team and a one-loss SEC team versus UCLA? That's where it is even more exciting.
That is the conversation because you would put the 2 SEC teams in. That's no brainer.
Oh yeah, UCLA is getting the bumped.
But why would they get the bump if they're undefeated and Clemson's undefeated? That would be the conversation that I would have.
What if I guess then TCU's undefeated, and Clemson, and Alabama, one-loss Georgia. I mean, this is where it gets very fun. Like this is where people get very mad.
You would put a one-loss SEC team over an undefeated. In my opinion, the only conference that would not, if Clemson is undefeated and they're like, if UCLA is undefeated, Oklahoma State or TCU undefeated, and Clemson is undefeated, and you're going to put in Ohio State, and you put in a one-loss Georgia, and you put in Alabama, and you have to pick between those 3. Do you really think that they put Clemson in?
Probably because it's Clemson, but
over both the Pac-12 and the Big 12.
Yeah, because it's Clemson. Look at how they're ranked right now. I mean,
I know it's bullshit.
But this is how this whole story. Yeah, there you go. It is bullshit. But the thing that's going to happen.
That was also my point with Kansas too. When I'm saying that an undefeated Kansas wouldn't get in, was literally the point you're making to me now. Is the brand itself was not, even if they're undefeated, they're not getting in. There's other teams that are going to get in.
But I think the Big 12 schedule is tough. Like at the moment, see, this is the problem. It's hard to do with the full picture, but I still think I get what you're saying. I think the thought of Kansas, running through that entire conference, which features Texas, who could end up being a top 10 team, I'm like, it would be huge. So maybe to the point about Clemson, like, yeah. But could you imagine? I would love it if Clemson was like, Kansas is going to get this one. Let's just sit this one out. It won't get there.
I will
And partly
argue,
my
though,
Kansas argument is just like people are going to lose. They are going to lose.
yeah. I would argue, though, that if the one-loss SEC team is Georgia, you could leave them out.
I agree with that
because
the
their
schedule's not
schedule,
nearly
like,
as beefy.
yeah, if you have 3 other undefeated conferences, like, there are undefeated teams that should get in over Georgia if they only lost to Alabama.
I think we managed to piss off everybody.
Yeah, I think this scenario is terrible.
I have inadvertently pissed on every conference. Well, yes, that's true. But
we're giving them.
I do enjoy this about the
Pac-12 hasn't. Yeah, I don't know.
I cannot wait for those first playoff rankings. 3 weeks. It's fun. It's dumb and it's very fun because none of it matters and it will all work out. But I can't help get riled up. So thank you for doing that because like my fucking blood is boiling. Got a headache now.
I'm like so stressed about it right now because I want to have those conversations. I want us to be real about like what maybe the cheese. I guess I want to be real about the conversation of like the committee, and I want them to be challenged. I really want them to be challenged, and I know it's all going to be the same, and this is going to be a moot point in a week probably, not even. So yeah. But I thought that was an interesting thought process since we had that conversation and people were calling me an idiot for no reason, which I think is hilarious because they thought that we were genuinely being serious about Kansas going undefeated. No offense to Kansas fans, but very entertaining conversation. It makes for good combo.
Picks and pints. I don't have a koozie, and this was the only IPA in the minibar, which is a Goose Island IPA.
Which was hilarious because when you showed it to me originally, I said to you, it's kind of like those commercials with like it just for those that are not watching. Okay, the can is literally green and it just says IPA in like big letters. And I told him it looks like one of those jerseys in one of those car commercials where it's like they make the winning basket or whatever, and they're wearing a shirt that says like state or college or whatever.
This is good marketing for me. I open the fridge and it's like calling me. Like, oh, okay. So Goose Island. I gotta say, the brewery scene in Vegas is pretty good. Like, there's good local beer. Every time I'm here, I always like every time I travel. Paige, I don't know about you, but I like whether it's wine. You're in wine country, so you get to do this a lot more like elegantly than I do, which is like dashing around and trying IPAs. The beer here is always good. Like, it's a good change of pace. It's hard to get good beer on the Strip. Like, you can't go to like the local video poker bar and be like, "Sir, give me one of your finest IPAs." Like, here, whatever this is, like, go.
Yeah, the thought of drinking beer in Vegas makes me very nauseous. Like, sorry, that's not happening.
I am going right down to the tables after this. By the way, like
I'm going to the Rangers hockey game.
That's actually awesome. Like, that is. I think the team is here tomorrow. I've never been to the Vegas. I've heard it's amazing though. So
yeah, I feel like it'd be really cool.
It would be cool. So all right, let's pick some winners. This week could go wrong.
Sorry, I'm super immature.
Go right. What? Which part? I'm sorry. I'm looking at my picks now.
Let's pick winners. Haven't you ever heard the phrase of picking a winner?
Yes. I'm just trying to. I also had a beer bubble in like my throat. Like, I was working through a lot right there. Like, I was down bad. Also, game day upset crew clothing. If you've won, thanks to Municipal, clothing will be coming soon. So thank you all for your patience. Other than my just sheer laziness of getting it sent. What?
Jalen Daniels is out for the year. Sorry, I just got that alert.
That
Kansas.
Sucks.
I'm so sorry.
Kansas. I had Oklahoma. That sucks. That's actually a huge bummer. Although their backup threw 4 touchdowns last week, so maybe you can do it again. But that is a bummer.
Okay, sorry.
So back to Municipal, back to game day upset. Maybe you think Kansas can still overcome it and beat Oklahoma as now like an 8-point dog. It's kind of a weird line. Either way, I am loving the upset picks that we're getting. We'll get your clothing out. You can win more stuff. It is being a great deal of fun. So keep those coming. So let's start you and I actually have a game that we agree on, which is actually like I don't know the last time that happened. It's a little alarming, the fact that we have one that we are in lockstep with. It's probably less fun when it's that the case, but no, it's good to have some like pod like camaraderie
synergy
here. Do you want to do the honors on the game?
Yes. We are both taking
To...
I had to switch back to the doc and remember which one we picked together.
Like, that was great. That was anticlimactic. But yes.
Okay, we are both taking Michigan Penn State under 52.5 points. Look at us.
I think it's going to be a defensive game. Both offenses can have moments. Both defenses are really good. I think it's going to be nervous energy game, ball control game. Blake Corum's going to carry the ball like 40 times. Clock's going to be moving. I actually like this pick a lot. Like, this is one of my favorite plays of the weekend. I will kick it off. Utah -3.5 with USC. I have been wanting to bet Utah in this game for 6 months. I know they just lost to UCLA. Utah is such a different team at home. They just kick the shit out of teams at home. They did it last year. They're going to do it this year. You have like the number seven team in the country getting points against a team that's already lost twice. I love this game. Utah's going to win this one by double digits.
Wow. But also, if USC handles this business, that's going to be awesome for the
That would be USC. Cool. It'd be a good story. I agree with that.
Be a great story. All right. Next up, I have 2 bets on the Tennessee-Alabama game. I'm taking Tennessee to cover at +7.5.
Wow.
I'm shocked as well. I'm also taking the under 65 points. This is another
good nervous energy game.
Yeah. This could go horribly wrong. Alabama could kick their ass and I could just be SOL. But yeah, I'm taking Tennessee +7.5, under 65 total. That's going to be a lot of. I care about that game, so the fact that I decided to bet not only 1 bet but 2 bets on that game, probably not the smartest life choice. But you know what? Here we are.
I think this might be the first time you've ever picked against Alabama on Picks and Pints.
No, I think I'd pick teams to cover. I'm not picking.
It's not a regularity. Fair enough.
It's not something you would expect from me.
No, but I like it. That's a good. I can't argue with any of those, especially the under. I'm a big fan of the under. Weird Thursday night game. I think it's Thursday night. West Virginia +3.5 versus Baylor. It's a weird line. It's kind of a weird season for Baylor. They are not the same team. They lost a lot. We are big Dave Aranda fans, but it's just this is a weird spot for them. Playing in a place where the couches will burn. I think West Virginia wins that game.
Okay. I like it. I don't mind it. I mean, I think Baylor's going to win, sorry. But you know how I feel about Baylor. Next up, we were just talking about this. I've changed my ways. I think I've become an under girly. That's what I'm going to call it. I am taking Kansas. I will be. After this week, watch, I'll lose every under, and I'll be like, no more. We're going overs. I'm taking the Kansas, Oklahoma under 62.5.
I thought you said that with like a Kansas or like a twang.
Kansas,
is that an intentional twang? Yeah, it sounded like
Oklahoma. No,
you were twanging.
No, but I can do the rest of the episode in a Southern accent if you want me to.
That's pretty good. Yeah, we can offend everybody too, like the Kansas people, the Alabama people, the Oklahoma people. Like we already pissed them off for telling them their teams are not going to the playoff.
None of your teams are going to the playoff. Alabama and Ohio State are the only teams that should be in the playoff. That's it. Sorry.
That's it.
Georgia, you're irrelevant
like reserved.
Now. Yeah.
Yes.
No, but I'm taking that under at 62.5.
Okay. Florida State, I have written them down at +4 versus Clemson. I just checked. The line's down to 3.5. There's some weird shit with this line. I do. Florida State.
You love Florida State. You've bet them so much this year. You need to let it go.
I have.
You're chasing a Florida State victory in terms of gambling.
The number 4 team in the country, 3.5. I'm telling you, Clemson even last week offensively. Florida State. I mean, Florida State's winning this game, Paige.
Okay.
But the fact that this line is down to 3.5, like I picked it at 4, but I have to be honest with people. It like pained me. I'm like, shit, should I say 4? Should I say no? The line is at 3.5 now. It's pretty wild. Number 14 versus unranked, 3.5 points. Gonna probably draw a lot of Clemson money. That money will not be mine. Just saying.
Okay. I respect
okay,
it.
and what's your last one?
I'm taking
Blue Pig?
Arkansas over BYU, -1.5. Blue
Blue
Pig,
Pig.
baby.
I have TCU -3.5 versus Oklahoma State. One other thing this week. Normally, I don't like to bet on big games.
Wow, look at you going against Oklahoma State.
I know. It's another one of my teams. That's like
I was just gonna say, I feel like you've won a lot of money on
yeah.
Oklahoma State this year.
Oklahoma
So
State's been pretty good. No, but I'm going contrarian. I think you have a lot of situations where the higher ranked team is either a dog, like we see at USC, or it's a really tight line. I think TCU is really good. Like I think TCU is really good. I'm really excited for that. What's that total in that Oklahoma State game? I was going to check that because I'll bet you it's, if I had to guess, mid-60s, 68.5. So that's up there. That seems a little high. Like that's an
that is really
aggressive
high.
total. So that
I
game's going
bet
to
a
be
60.
weird.
Let me just tell you, I bet an under at 68.5 this week, and the total was 69. Not nice. That was so horrible. I was so mad.
Not
By half
nice.
a
No,
point.
that's horrible to lose like half a point and 70 points. So you're just grinding it out all game. Oh,
Just a mess.
not nice. All right, so there are the picks. What else? What other randomness? Are you eating any good food in New York, by the way?
First of all, I had fabulous pizza. Took myself out to a very nice dinner the first night I was here. But no, I do have some good random things that I would like to talk about. And that specifically is just being on the East Coast watching games. I'm very confused. On Saturday, I was here and I woke up and I was like, so football just doesn't like start in the morning? Like, I'm so used to waking
Oh
up at
yeah.
9 a.m. as kickoff. I had like a whole day before we even did anything with college football. It was very strange. Very, very strange. I also have to complain about the Formula One race. Okay, there was a whole bunch of drama. A whole bunch of drama. But the main thing I want to get out is that if you're a Formula One fan and you had to deal with that ridiculous rain delay with the random time that this race was, but you also had to witness something that was like completely unsafe in terms of motorsport. Basically, one of the drivers could have died. They were just so careless about bringing a tractor onto the track while he was still passing, and it was incredibly dangerous, incredibly scary, and really put a damper on the mood of the race because they also lost a driver at that same track to a crane that was on track like
All right,
years ago.
when you say a tractor, what do you mean?
I mean a tractor, like because there was so there was
Like
an
John
accident.
Deere?
It was yellow, so no. But yes, a
But like
tractor.
in
It
this,
was a
okay,
pickup.
but
It
like
was
an
there
actual
was a
tractor, like
crash.
it.
Yes, a real tractor. So there was a
Sorry, I
crash.
gotta know if I can laugh about this or if this is so serious that I'm like gonna people are gonna be like, "What the fuck, dude? Like this is
You're
serious."
gonna
So like,
offend people if you continue laughing, but
okay,
it's a
okay,
real
I'm gonna
tractor.
button it
But
up. Nope,
no, no, no.
I'm gonna button it up.
But genuinely, like the fact that you were like, wait, a real one? Like, yes. Imagine the absurdity of what you just heard
That's
is
what I'm
why people
trying to
are so
imagine.
upset. Is because like the fact that there was a tractor on the track when people are going 150 to 200 miles an hour under a red flag is ridiculous and so incredibly dangerous. It was like one of those things where it was like, this can't actually be real. And then to make matters worse, some of the commentators were trying to blame the driver. And I'm like getting hives talking about this. Like, this is how upset I am. It's also one of my favorite drivers. So I was also, that added to it. Not
Bothered.
that I would have
Yes.
cared either way, but it was just a hot mess. And then there was this whole thing with like the championship because the person the driver who won like the world championship won it at this race. But there was like a controversy of like, should he have gotten all the points? Did he win it? It was really weird. So it was a hot mess of a weekend for Formula One. And it just like stressed me out beyond all belief. Not only the fact that I had to watch this race at 1 in the morning was when it was supposed to start and it didn't happen until 3 in the morning. I was just very upset. So that was my rant on Formula One and the fact that being an East Coast fan is so difficult because being awake this late, like even Monday Night Football, I was like, normally I get off work and the game's on. No, I had to wait 3 hours.
That's why Central Time. It's the best. It's the
I don't know.
best.
I like Pacific time.
I don't know how I'm gonna flip the script on you. this, like, I'm in Pacific time, and like I can't help but think like, oh my God, I haven't eaten dinner yet and my kids are asleep. Or I wake up at 6 and I have guilt. I have like East Coast guilt. What did I
That
miss?
you're
People are awake. So that's one rant. My other rant is this. I don't know if I've ever said Vegas is I understand, like, so paying for a mini bar, I'm gonna contradict myself a little bit. Like, I'm okay paying absurd prices at a mini bar. But Vegas is getting a little out of control with
absolutely.
costs. And I at some point people are gonna put I ate lunch, had like a slice of pizza with a friend, we had a beer, and just like a random stopping, nowhere, like not even sit down, but like just a fast food at the Venetian. It was
Mm-hmm.
$70 for like slices of pizza and a beer. And we just kind of looked at each other, we're just like laughing. It's getting it's getting a little insane. Like you used to be able to, it makes me sound old, but whatever. Like you used to be able to go to Vegas and if you gambled, like I still get rooms comped, but like everything now is so ridiculously priced, like cartoonishly priced. Like a cup of coffee is like $7. That can't.
Yeah.
No, Vegas, you got to get your shit together. Like I love it out
Yeah.
here.
No, I
I'm not going
totally
to
agree
stop
with you.
coming here. This is not a protest. I'm just like, come on, Vegas. We could be a little bit better than this.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to bring up a sore subject, but how are
Then
you
why are you
feeling
going
about the
to go ahead?
because you were very excited about it last week.
Which
Are you
shitty sports
sad
team do you want to talk about?
are you sad about your baseball team?
So I got a funny story about it though. I was very sad. I was kind of heartbroken. I flew out on Sunday night. I'm a big guy. I'm in the aisle, seeing who's sitting next to me in the middle seat. Okay, I'm like doing like everybody does. Who's it gonna be, right? And for me, it's just
Padres
like
game?
I'm wide shouldered. I need like a little old lady to sit next to me. There appears this enormous gentleman, a block of a man who is twice the size of me. And I see him put his bag up, and I'm like, oh God. And he's like, I'm right there. And okay, so I get up. Immediately, we start jockeying for arm position. It's not going well. My chest is literally cramping up. I'm losing this battle, Paige. I am sitting here like this, engulfed. The flight attendant felt so bad. He gave me a free, like, vodka drink. He just slipped it to me and said, "Here you go, man. I'm sorry." And I'm like, the guy's sleeping. So it's Sunday night. You got the roll into the seat deal. I get it. It's okay. Nothing this guy can do. Nothing I can do. Not mad at him. I'm watching the Mets on my iPad in my little coffin. The motherfucker in front of me puts his seat all the way back. I got the guy next to me, and I'm watching the Mets just implode on the iPad with my arms crossed and my little bottle of vodka. It was a low
Buddy, I'm
point.
sorry. I'm sorry.
It was a very
But at least I almost just spilt wine on me. That was so close. I had to bring it up just because you were so excited, and I wasn't trying to crush your dreams, but I also wanted to let you have that moment to get it out to vent because
I'm
I
glad
think
I was out
it
here, like, because I was just sad. I'm sitting in the cab, and it's like the problem with baseball. You invest so much fucking time into baseball, and then it ends,
yeah,
and it's like it's
9
hard.
months of your life.
It's like 9 months. So I think it is very sad. And then like no, I was pretty heartbroken. And then I got out here and it got busy, and then I forgot about it until you asked me about it. But the situation of watching my team lose, like that was, it was like the gods are testing me. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is. I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this fucking shitty baseball team, or my arm to hurt, or the guy in front of me to lean his seat back, and every time he rocks, the iPad's falling off. I wanted to put the man in front of me in a sleeper hold. Like, don't lean your seat
Actually,
back. By the way, can we
so
can we
great.
rant about this?
Wait, okay, hold
Fucking
on, hold on. We actually should rant about this. Wow, this is gonna be a long ass episode, and I do have to go, but here we go. This is
yes.
the thing. I used to be so anti putting your seat back, but I also understand that you paid for it and you can do that. What bothered me was the
No.
flight that I was on. No, 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 hold on. The thing that pissed me off, this woman in front of I was sitting in like two seats with someone on Delta, And this woman in front of us leaned so far back in her chair when she sat down that the drink on her tray spilled all over the two of us, and she didn't even notice. She just went about her business. And we're like sopping wet. Luckily, it was like sparkling water. So I had to get up, go ask the flight attendant for napkins. But she literally just sat back in her seat, not even like leaned it back. She like moved herself backwards and like body slammed it and sprayed us with water, and it was terrible. And that's the part that I mind.
Plane etiquette is appalling. People are fucking savage assholes.
People are so selfish.
I mean, I truly, if you put your seat back, I'm going to put my foot through your ass. That's what I'm going to do next time if you put your seat back in front of me. I wasn't even mad at the guy next to me. Buddy, this is you, this is me. We're going to be real close. The guy in front of me, you have your complete control of this. As the Mets are losing, I'm like, all right, if I bring my arm over, and I'm not a violent person, you know this, I would never do this, but I'm like, could I put him in a sleeper hold effectively? He's asleep now, and all of a sudden you've had me come in with an effective UFC type choke. That's where I was at. So back to the Mets, not great. Clearly, I've still got some pain that
not great, Bob.
I'm pushing down. So all right, you got to go to a hockey game.
Yes, I do, but
I have to go get drunk and gamble.
I mean, both sound excellent. Big game this week. Don't forget to send in your upset picks for municipal gear. Hashtag game day upset. Shopmunicipal.com. No punts 20. What else?
More of these IPAs.
More drinks. I guess.
Yeah, go have fun. It's gonna be an awesome week. I'm actually really looking forward to next week because this is watch us on Sunday recap the AP poll because it's going to be a glorious mess of changes in teams. That's been a lot of fun, and we're gonna go have fun ourselves. So for everybody, enjoy the games, and we will talk to you guys next week.